With Fatal Fury 2 covered, it's time to look at its updated version, Fatal Fury Special. Before anything else, I just want to talk about how confusing the game's title was for someone who was starting to learn about SNK's fighting franchises. So there are Fatal Fury 2 and Fatal Fury 3. Fatal Fury Special has no number in the title, so my first thought is to guess it's an update to the first game, but no, it's to the second. That's not what causes the issue though, because we then get the Real Bout Fatal Fury series, and there is a Real Bout Fatal Fury, Real Bout Fatal Fury 2, and Real Bout Fatal Fury Special. So following the pattern you would assume Real Bout Special is an update to Real Bout 2. No, because Real Bout Special came first. Real Bout Fatal Fury Special is not an update, it's the sequel to the first and acts as a sort of remake of the second game. They just decided to name it after this game and not Fatal Fury 2, while Real Bout Fatal Fury 2 is the third game in that series. I can't be the only one who found this really confusing at first. But back to the game. Some may call this an equivalent to Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, with it making the bosses playable. I'd say it's more like they skipped Champion Edition and went straight to Super Street Fighter 2, as it's not just the bosses, 3 more characters not in the original were added. But first, there's some other things to bring up. The bonus stages were removed, presumably because we now have a 15 battle arcade run and they would drag it on. Since 2 of the characters in the cutscenes in the first version are now playable, the little story scenes between the boss fights have been removed. Big Bear gains the Big Bear Bomber with forward, down, up and strong punch. I think this was that move, I'm not sure though. Jubei also gains the Neko Jarashi with half circle forward to back and strong punch. So let's talk about those playable bosses first. Starting with Billy Khan. I've already explained the 4 bosses' stories, so this will just cover moves and my thoughts. Billy has the Sansetsu-kon with charge back, forward and punch, the Suzume Otoshi with charge down, back, up, forward and punch, the Senpu-kon by rapidly tapping punch, and the Kyoshu Hisho-kon with down, back, quarter circle forward and kick. I either forgot or never managed to pull off Billy's super special move. The Chokai Senpu-kon is done with quarter circle forward, half circle back, up back and both punches. Billy is just really fun in this game. Majority of my playthroughs took around 70 to 90 minutes, but as Billy I finished the game in 40 minutes, faster than most of my Fatal Fury 2 runs with less fights. He has such good range along with attacks that keep him moving closer to the opponent, but even without them, one of his crouching kicks is so good I won a few rounds stun locking even bosses in the corner with it. Another improvement to Billy is his costume. It's not much, just adding a shirt, but it's much better than the porno plumber look he had in the first game. Since he moved back to London, his stage is set there. There's all these cogs in the back to get hit into, making it one of the few one-lane stages. I think it looks nice, and I much prefer his new theme music. There wasn't anything wrong with his Fatal Fury 1 theme, but it's not that memorable compared to this one. So next is Axel Hawk. He has Michael Max's Tornado Upper with quarter circle forward and punch, Smash Bomber with charge down, back, forward and punch, Axel Dance by rapidly pressing punch. His super special, Axel Rush, is done with back, quarter circle back to down back, up forward and quick kick and strong punch. Once again I couldn't pull it off, so I had the AI do it for me. Axel was quite fun. With his height and strength he felt like a faster Big Bear with some easier moves. So Axel is clearly a replacement for Michael Max, being the only boxer and even having Michael's Tornado Upper. The reason given for that is Michael trained under Axel. I will say that Axel comes across as more unique than Michael. He's not just Balrog with one of Joe's moves. He's also more intimidating with his large height and his animations, but even that wasn't enough to save Axel from joining his student in the one-shot bin. Like Jubei, Axel was never a fighter in another game after this. It seems SNK really struggled to create a boxer they were satisfied with. Of the 5 boxers between the entire Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting series, not one of them has made the cross into King of Fighters, and 3 of them couldn't even make it into a second game. It seems Vanessa was the first boxer they were truly satisfied with, and I get why, so it makes sense she's the only one they've been using. But if we can regularly have 3 or 4 Kyokugen Ryu characters with their own differences in the same roster in several games, surely we can have Vanessa and Michael or Axel or Mickey or Franco or Rick in the same game. But back to Axel. His stage is pretty cool. It's a bit like Big Bear's with the tall trucks and people parked outside the ring. The ring, which is electrified by the way, making for another one-lane stage. Then we get that scene in the back that I love the look of during the first round with the green lights. His theme really got stuck in my head too with the amount of times I heard it. Now for Lawrence Blood. He has his Bloody Sabre with half circle back to forward and punch, his Bloody Spin with charge back, forward and kick, Bloody Cutter with charge down, up and strong punch. His super special is Bloody Flash with down forward, half circle back to forward, down back, forward and both kicks. To be honest, I didn't enjoy playing as Lawrence much. The only useful move of his I found was his Psycho Crusher-esque Bloody Spin. He also has a slide kick, but it was the least useful one in the game to me. Can't enjoy them all. As for him as a character, I have no strong feelings. I just don't really care for his visual design or personality. Of the game's bosses, I'd say he's my least favourite. But we haven't seen the last of him yet. He still has a few more appearances, so he still has a chance to wow me in the future. Of course, his stage is in an actual bullfighting arena with endlessly charging bulls preventing a second lane. It's fine. So I noticed it was just the 3 sub-bosses that got 1 lane stages with hazards in the back. His theme is basically what you'd expect from him. It's fine like his stage, but it's no Vegas theme. Now for Wolfgang Krauser. It's a bit strange covering the game's final boss in the middle of the new playable cast, but whatever. He has his high blitz fireball with quarter circle back and punch, his leg tomahawk with quarter circle forward and kick, his low blitz fireball with quarter circle back and kick, and his command grab via Temi Nage with half circle back to forward, up forward and punch. His super special move, Kaiser Wave, is done with charge back, down back and both punches, although my recording made it invisible. Krauser was a lot of fun. Even though I didn't do any better than average with him, you just feel powerful playing as him. Easy fireballs that look painful when they hit, barreling across the screen taking up most of its space with the leg tomahawk. One of the easiest super special moves to pull off. I like Krauser as a follow-up to Geese. I like how in their backstories where Geese is defeated and made to fear Krauser, we learn that Krauser is significantly younger than Geese. I mean, Geese was once wrecked as a teenager by his older brother. Yeah, sure, whatever. But Geese was once wrecked as a teenager by his 9-year-old little brother says much more about Krauser as a threat. It's funny to see how Krauser was so amused by Geese and saw himself as above him even though they're the same. There's the fact they've both made attempts on their shared father's life as they both blame him for their own mother's deaths. And they're both rich, corrupt figures with many strong fighters hired under them, but only have one each that's truly loyal. But Krauser just looked out more. He was born into his wealth while Geese had to work his way up to a crime lord. He was born with freakish strength that could defeat a 15-year-old Geese at 9 years old. He even got more time with their father than Geese did, and succeeded in assassinating him where Geese failed. And Geese only failed because Krauser was there to stop him, freeing Rudolph up for Krauser to kill him himself. I honestly think it's a massive shame Krauser hasn't been used more. He's going to make, I think, 6 more appearances on the roster in later games. Of those 6, 5 of those are either remakes of existing games, have no plot, or are just non-canon. He has this game and The King of Fighters 96 in terms of story, and there's just so much more that can be done with him and his dynamic with Geese, especially now that Geese's son is getting used more. Of course, for his stage he chooses the most over-the-top and pretentious location he can. This brings up his music. He just gets Dies Irae, an already existing classical piece. I'm in 2 minds about it. It really shows off how up himself and pretentious he is compared to his half-brother, and it makes the orchestra in the stage playing its music a cool touch. But this does make him the only character without his own theme music composed specifically for him, so I'm mixed on it. But with the bosses out of the way, let's talk about the new additions, all returning from the first game, starting with Duck King. I don't know what story, if any, Duck King has. We know he got an invitation based on the scene of the vanilla version where Krauser takes him down. I guess his defeat at Krauser's hand has just been retconned so he can compete on the roster. He has his head spin attack with charge back, forward and punch, his break storm with quarter circle forward, up forward and kick, his dancing dive with quarter circle back and kick, beat rush with forward, back, forward and strong punch, needle roll with down and strong kick. His super special move is the break spiral with half circle back to forward, up forward, down and quick kick and strong punch. Duck King just didn't click with me gameplay wise this time. Maybe I'd have enjoyed him more against a human player, but against the AI, I really got bad with him. It's a shame because Duck King had a huge glow up from the first game. Much better outfit, the hoodie has a lot more personality than the plain shirt he wore. His mohawk is also rendered much better instead of looking like he has a big pineapple ring sticking out of his head like it did originally. The only downgrade is losing the blue streak at the front. He's also much more animated and moves with a lot more personality. He's starting to become that character I really liked when I started getting into SNK games. They also added the duck chick that comes out of his hair when he wins and loses. His new stage is also much better, but if you're sensitive to flashing lights you may disagree. A nightclub just fits this guy much more in his first stage. His first stage was fine, but Duck King's large personality needs a more over-the-top stage. This extends to the music. His theme in the first game was also fine, but this new one just blows it out of the water. Duck King may be one of the biggest winners coming out of this game. Our next returnee is Tung Fu Rue. I think like Duck King, his only bit of story is receiving the invitation. He doesn't have any ties to Krauser like he did Geese, so I guess he's just here for the sake of competing. Tung's had a bit of an overhaul from the first game. Instead of hulking out when he takes enough damage, this time that form is saved to certain moves. His Senshipo is quarter circle back and punch. His Shohai with charge down back, forward and punch. His Gekiho by rapidly pressing strong punch. Resen Kyaku with charge down back, up forward and kick. His super special, Senpu Goken, is done with quarter circle forward to down, up and quick kick and strong punch. You may notice based on my move demonstrations that Tung became the new first opponent I chose for arcade runs, for being a huge pain to fight. Even as the first opponent, I'd sometimes get stuck at him. I wish that carried over into success playing as him because, like Duck King, I struggled with Tung. Having his main projectile be short range and require a diagonal to straightforward charge input didn't help. But aside from my struggles, Tung was also greatly improved just like Duck King, maybe even more in terms of moveset. Limiting his giant roided out form to specials was a great change. It makes it come across as more powerful and impressive than it ever did as a full mode change in the first game. That was what drew me to Tung in the first place back when I was 14. And because that form no longer has the limitations of needing to be balanced as a playable fighter, it can be as big and over the top as it needs to be. I wonder if putting Tung in this game was the death knell for Jubei's career, as you can see them both on screen at once and there's just no contest. Tung's stage may be the most simple to describe, a bridge across some mountains, but it's one of my favourites to look at. We get the mist down below and the houses built into the mountain on the right. Sometimes a stage can be great being simple rather than over the top and bustling with people in the back. Like Billy and Duck King, Tung's new theme music is also an improvement, but I don't think the gap in quality between themes is as large as it was to those two. For our final new addition, it's the very not dead Geese Howard. Geese is now the fourth boss of the game, being faced after Lawrence but before Krauser. Geese survived his fall with the help of a Chinese scroll he secretly had possession of. The Phoenix Scroll contained secrets that allowed one to speed up their recovery, letting him heal from the fall off his tower. Whether or not Krauser knows this, I don't know. He may not even be competing in the tournament, it's a bit hard to tell. The later game offers a different explanation, but I'll get to it if I reach that game. For moves, he has his Reppuken with quarter circle forward and punch, double Reppuken when it's done with strong punch. Quarter circle back and punch in the air makes him use Vishipuken. He has his amazing counter with half circle back to forward, up forward and kick, and one I cannot believe I actually pulled off myself, Raising Storm with down back, half circle forward to back, down forward and kick quick and strong punch, the infamous pretzel motion. I did actually pull this off earlier against Joe. I saw that first frame of that animation and thought, shit, I actually did it. And then that fucker knocked me out of it. I was fuming. Geese was another one that was quite fun. Having easy projectiles helps and that counter is very satisfying when you actually make it work. I couldn't quite overwhelm my opponents like I could with Krauser, but he did have a crouching kick like Billy's that could trap opponents in a corner, but not quite as good as Billy's. This is the first game where Geese wears his shirt at his waist, and I usually think it suits him more than keeping it on. I've commented on his relationship with Krauser already, so we can skip past that bit. So I'm noticing this trend in the series about fathers being behind a lot of the motivation of the main plot. In the first game, Terry and Andy are out to avenge their father's death at Geese's hands. Part of Geese and Krauser's feud is caused by a shared father they both hate for bringing about their mother's deaths. Billy himself wants revenge for Geese's death, as Geese was like a father to him, and then later on we'll get focused on Geese's biological son. Not to mention Geese's involvement with the Sakazaki family in the Art of Fighting game, separating another father from his children. Don't know if it's an intentional theme, just something I noticed. Geese's new tower stage looks amazing. I like how Geese is so into Japanese culture that his first action after nearly dying from a high fall is to just get back up and buy more statues and stuff. I like to imagine that's what Geese does whenever he's down. We get a shopping spree scene like in a film, but instead of clothes it's just massive Japanese statues. His theme becomes the only other returning track alongside Big Bear's, and I don't have much to say, it's just his theme, which was already great, but made even better. So that's the full roster. It's a pretty good upgrade I'd say. 4 unplayable bosses made playable, and 3 more great choices to return from the first game, all playable in the single player arcade run for the first time. We went from 8 to 15, almost doubling the playable cast. But then I am forgetting a 16th character, aren't I? Endings are made available to all players who beat the game this time, regardless if they ever lost. But there's a new reward for getting through the game without dying. I only did this once with Terry. We unlock the Dream Match against Ryo Sakazaki from Art of Fighting. I somehow beat Ryo on my first try, so I'll save most details of my thoughts for the part I'm covering after the endings. Ryo cannot be unlocked in the original arcade version I'm playing, but he can be on the Neo Geo AES release and the Super Nintendo port. I'm not covering those as I already have another port I can look at with him playable. He has a remix of Todo's theme from Art of Fighting, and it's okay, not my favourite version of this theme. We also get cameos by Todo, Mickey and Lee in the background. This is a really nice looking stage and this is a really cool bonus, but I'll save the rest for later in the video. But before we look at the endings, there's something else that has to be addressed, the game's English localization. This is going to be a trend with SNK fighting games from now on, but a lot of the English ends up being strange, unintentionally funny, accidentally suggestive, or any combination of those three. The only way I can get this across is to read out a selection of them so you can hear just how strange or out of character some of this stuff sounds. Wubba wubba, I'm in the pink today, boy. You have guts. Too bad, I'm gonna tear them out. Actually, I like this one. Taste the blows of this reborn titan. Acha-cha. You guys sure stick out like a gorilla at a lingerie show. I've heard about you. You don't look like a weenie. Oh Andy, you've become so strong. Not. Eat my power pole, pansy. A nice treat after a long separation. I'm going to dye, wrong dye, my cape with your blood. Grizzly, huh? Not bad. One more time on the house. Not. I sure have gotten the old stuff back. Don't hold back, Andy. Come on to me. Now you've done it, I'm gonna make porridge of you. The legend of Joe Higashi expands, soon to be a major motion picture. Ruin my image with strange pants, will ya? The immortal Geese is about to show you a very hot place indeed. Heh, Tempest Man enters the ring. Whoosh whoosh. What do you say when you face the woman you have feelings for but don't admit it? Andy chooses, come on pansy, show me what you're made of. What? No one said I'd be fighting a girl. Then again, why not? Hey, I never scratch myself there. Stop it, imitating Melonhead. Master Tan, I ask for the honour to bash your face in. My punch is steel, but my face is not. Ouch. To the archives with you, my foolish friend. What does that one even mean? What a tough. I think I used about 61.5% of my strength. You fight like a milkmaid. Butch up. Coming up against me takes guts. I like guts, with catsup. Evil makes me want to kill. Conscience prevents me. Yes, my friend, I will cure you of a disease called life. Of course there's the classic, die like your father, you pin-headed son of an ice cream maker. Question, what do you say to the person who murdered your father? The person you've despised most for the past 11 years? Both Terry and Andy go with, don't come round here no more, no more. Do-wah. But they have more strong words for him. Oh, you make me so angry, you big silly. Big Bear also has no love for Geese. Oh, you make me so flustered. But Krauser comes out on top for me. Challenge me, you hot spunky kid. I hate spunk. To oppose me is to listen to Madonna at a celibacy meeting. What the fuck, Krauser? And my personal favourite, blood is thick, but syrup's thicker. Think about it. Well, that was fun, and I hope to make this a recurring segment as I cover more of these games. With all that, let's finish off the game. Some endings were changed, others just redrawn. Terry is still at Pow Pow Cafe but with a new girl this time. Andy gets back to his training but decides to stop for ice cream first. Joe is just doing well in general, while Jai was told to get the fuck out of his ending. Big Bear's ending is exactly the same, as is Jubei's. Cheng doesn't mention his dojo but still made a lot of money. Kim trains with his sons, Kim Dong-hwan and Kim Jae-hoon. Mai starts a fire and thinks having masculine traits is to blame somehow. Duck King pursues his true calling, dance. You mean he wasn't already? Despite winning, Tung's age means taking part in the tournament still lands him in hospital. Billy has a crisis over becoming the world's strongest man. Axel gets back into training alongside Michael Max, and they will never return from said training. Lawrence takes over from Krauser. Geese is disappointed the tournament is over so soon. And as for Krauser?
Wow! What a tough!
I wouldn't end it any other way. Fatal Fury Special just improves on Fatal Fury 2 in nearly every way. While it is a shame to lose some little things like the story scenes, and 50 matches can be draining when I have to do it 15 times, almost doubling the playable roster really makes it worth it. So far this is definitely the best Fatal Fury I've played, but I haven't played past this, so we'll see how long it stays this way. But for now, let's look at one of the parts. While this game couldn't make it to the Mega Drive, it did somehow make its way to the Game Gear. This is recorded through an emulator, as despite owning a physical copy of this game, I don't have a Game Gear. Plus it seems video capture from a Game Gear isn't possible anyway, or is at least very hard. So let's have a look at how this game fared being squeezed into an 8-bit handheld. First off, we lose 7 characters. Big Bear, Kim, Cheng, Jubei, Axel, Lawrence and Krauser are all missing. This means that in this version of Fatal Fury 2, Mai is the only remaining character from that game, but in return, Ryo takes the place of Krauser as the final boss and is playable from the start. Endings were cut as well. As you'd expect, graphics took a large downgrade, but they aren't horrible, you can still tell who everyone is. Music also took being downgraded well, except for Joe's theme, it sounds unbearable. As for gameplay, I've gotta say I was impressed. Like the Super Nintendo part of the first game, this one reduces things to one lane and one punch and kick button. But unlike that part, everything still feels right here. I had just as much fun playing this version as I did the arcade original. Controls were responsive, entire movesets carried over, there was no bullshit, and they even toned down the AI a little to make it more bearable. Well, with all that brought up, let's talk about Ryo. He has his Koken with quarter circle forward and punch, his Koho with forward, down, down forward and punch, his Hao Shokoken with forward, half circle back to forward and punch, the Hien Shippukyak with down back, forward and kick, his super special is a Yuko Rambu with quarter circle back, forward and kick. Ryo is just a lot of fun, especially trapping the opponent in corners with the Zanretsuken. Of course this is one of the most important crossovers in gaming. This little bonus is what gave SNK the idea to make a full crossover between Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting, leading us to the King of Fighters. And of course, that series is what partially caused the idea for a simplified fighting game that eventually became Super Smash Bros. So the importance of Ryo's appearance here and its effect on the fighting game genre cannot be understated. I think it may also be the first fighting game guest appearance ever. It definitely predates Akuma in X-Men Children of the Atom. But that's about all I have to say about this part, so let's wrap it up. The Game Gear part of Fatal Fury Special was a very nice surprise. Before this I'd covered 5 8-bit ports of 16-bit fighting games, and 4 of those 5 turned out to be stinkers. This is not another of them. I go so far as to say that this is the best 8-bit fighting game port I've looked at so far. While I obviously don't think this is as good as the arcade version, I'm ranking this in the same spot. This is a Master System Streets of Rage situation where, while still being a downgrade, I cannot rank it anywhere else without feeling I'm doing it a disservice. But while this video is over, looking at Fatal Fury 2 still continues, as we have one more variant to check out in the next video to wrap this up.